Hello.
We've got three things. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Thank you for joining me, Kim.
It's a pleasure, my lovely. Thank you for holding the fort while I was going and supporting the local economy.
I can't say I was amused, to be honest, but I found it was, I had a real nervousness going on. Yeah. Right. It was like, am I going to like look like an idiot? Am I going to make Kim look like an idiot? Am I going to say something really bad? Am I going to swear but I didn't. And you'll be pleased, hopefully, with the result. It wasn't too bad, right?
Yeah, no, it was good.
I was scared, Kim. Streaming to your channels when you weren't there was freaky. It's a weird situation, right?
I bet.
You don't know what's going to happen. So today we're going to talk about these three things, right? We're going to talk about imposter syndrome, as we've been doing for a few months now, right? We've been talking about this. We're going to talk about your new facial recognition training that you've been going through, which is fascinating. And when you've gone, I'm going to talk about my dream that I had this morning, which was pretty amazing, actually. I fell off a motorbike, which is kind of normal for me, really. Well, it used to be. So what do you think then about this imposter syndrome thing that's taken over the world at the moment?
I mean, it's massively on the increase, and it was interesting. I mean, obviously last week we launched International Imposter Syndrome Awareness Day, and very serendipitously, there was actually an article that was written for Forbes on the exact same day. And I got chatting to the author of that, who was like, oh, wow, I didn't realize there was an International Imposter Syndrome Awareness Day. And I was like, well, there wasn't. We created one because we need to talk about it more. You know, research shows that one of the first steps to overcoming it is to talk about it. And yet one of the things that is true when you're suffering with it is you don't want anybody to know, because you're desperately trying to make sure nobody finds out you're a fraud. So telling somebody you feel like a fraud is counterintuitive. So you kind of almost end up being your own worst enemy. And yet you need to be able to talk to people to get out of your own way and to find a way of controlling that inner critic, which I guess is why we've started to try and share more. So can we create a safe space for people to be able to talk about it and get help? And that delighted to say so many people are willing to come and share their journey and share that actually they've suffered with it too, and it's okay because you can get over it, and you're not alone, because when you're suffering you do feel like you're alone.
It's a strange one, isn't it? The self-confidence and how that affects our behaviors in our personal lives and also in our working lives. It's massive, like, you know, because it's almost like, you know, I'm just trying to recall like a book that I read called The Celestine Prophecy, probably, how many years ago was that? Probably 15 years ago. And in that book, actually, the most important thing that I took from that book is how, if we're feeling really bad about ourselves, how we will seek to make other people feel bad. So then we will take that energy from them, right? And that's been a big thing in the past week in both of our lives, because, you know, we work together every day, right? So like we chat, like, you know, by the virtual coffee machine or whatever, the virtual water cooler chat, right? And both of us have experienced this sort of behavior in the past sort of 10 days. And I actually think that it's so closely connected to imposter syndrome and the whole self-confidence issues that kind of go around that. I find it fascinating. The whole study into human behavior and psychology is very interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is. It's fascinating. I was talking to a good friend of mine, Caroline, on Monday, and she was talking about how it's a little bit like, imagine that you're a battery. And when you plug into somebody else's energy level, you deplete your battery. So if people are kind of going out and they're zapping your energy and you're staying plugged into that, then you're not going to be able to get yourself out of the fog that you end up in. So actually what you've got to be able to do is make sure you take time for yourself and you re-plug in your own battery. So that, you know, a bit like the old adage, you have to put your own face mask on first before you put one onto somebody that's suffering. That's not because you don't want to be there for them, but because you want to be strong enough to be there for them should they need you. And yet that always felt counterintuitive to me until you realize that actually, for example, with my little girl, she'd need me to be able to breathe, to be able to help her.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we talked a lot about this in the past few weeks because, excuse me, because you have to take control of yourself before you can help other people. You have to help yourself, right? Like, and that's what the most difficult thing is, actually not absorbing their bad vibes. Let's call it bad vibes. I don't like that phrase, but bad energy, bad thoughts, whatever you want to call it. But it's very difficult to not actually absorb that information. And yeah, we can see things from other people's perspectives, but actually taking it in, it really can damage you, right?
Yeah. And it was interesting because, like, we both had something happen this week, and I think what it made me realize is that, I wasn't really taking accountability for myself, and neither was the other person. And you can do that in two ways. So I, unfortunately, I'm not very good at setting the boundaries. So when somebody's got a problem, when someone's got a challenge, I'm a natural born rescuer. I leap in to try and rescue them. I want to help. I want to leave them in an okay place. But in doing so, you make their problem your problem. And then if it doesn't get fixed straight away, it's your fault. It's and you feel it's your fault as much as they feel it's your fault. And yet the reality is that they're accountable for them and their feelings, and you're accountable for you and your feelings. And as long as you're being kind and you are doing, your best not to be hurtful, then that's okay. But you've got to be careful of those boundaries. And I think when these things happen, when you see those overlaps of boundaries, you've got to be asking, what lesson am I learning here? And my lesson was, I'm still not being responsible about my boundaries and what I need. I'm still overgiving. And until I learn to put myself first, then actually I'm going to keep coming up against the same situation, because life repeats the problem until you learn the lesson.
Yeah, very much so. So briefly about imposter syndrome, we've created this amazing 7-step guide, right, to getting over it. Yeah. So if people want to get it, they can go to overcomingimposter.com, right?
Yeah. And it's a really simple guide that you can take yourself through to help reframe your thinking and to regain control of that inner critic. But what I would say is it's an iterative process. It's taken you a lot of time to build your belief that you can't do this. So to unbuild that belief, to recreate new beliefs, is going to take the same amount of dedication and the same amount of repetition. But when you do it and you keep doing it, you'll get there. You'll come out the other side.
Yeah, very much so. So now to your amazing achievement, right? Like you've literally just passed your exam, and you've been studying facial recognition for the last 12 weeks, whatever it is, right? And now you're going to be applying that in leadership and all sorts of things. And it's been interesting.
Yeah, no, it's been fascinating. So it was training by the face whisperer. So I've now become a practitioner, and basically the study is based on two previous sets of studies. The first is FACES, which is the facial action coding system that was originally identified by Dr. Paul Urquhart back in the 1970s. And it basically has found that there are 49 muscles that move in our face that demonstrate the same emotions. And these are often what we call micro expressions. They can last 1/25th of a second. So they're very hard to spot. They are very easy to miss. But actually, they are often when people are trying to suppress a particular emotion. So whether they're sad or unhappy or angry, or they're showing contempt, they're fearful, or they're happy, they're not all bad ones, or they're in awe, then actually these facial movements just allow you to spot the emotion. And that's not to call somebody out on it. It's not to go, oh, I think you look really angry, but to think they don't look very happy. And in the context of everything else that I can see, should I maybe ask a different question? Like, for example, this doesn't feel like it's landing in quite the way that you expected it to. Is there something else that you would like me to chat about now that would make more sense? But the other thing that we studied as well was personology. So this is there's in it, I think there's 37 facial features. And based on those features, so just being able to read a picture, you can start to spot the 2 or 3 major personality traits of the individual in the picture. But also, if you think about brands and the way that brands use photographs, very often they can be picking a picture that they think is going to describe a particular situation or emotion, and yet inadvertently, because they don't know about these expressions, they pick one that says something entirely different. And you could say to yourself, well, what's the problem, Kim? We've not trained on it, so we don't know. So does it matter if they're not the same? But when they did the research, they identified that even people that were born blind recognized and treated these emotions in the same way. So our subconscious brain understands them even if we don't. And there was some research done by the lady who trained me, where it was for a well-known mouthwash brand. And they did this research all day, exactly the same sample, same size, same color. And they had 2 pictures. They had a picture of the girl with a genuine smile and a picture of the same girl with a fake smile, one that wasn't quite genuine. And it didn't matter what they did, they moved them around throughout the day, so there was no left-right bias or anything like that. And 75% of the people took their free sample from the picture of the genuine smile, because we're predisposed to understand these things. The same piece when we're doing our training, they showed a picture of another well-known brand who was trying to demonstrate a mother's love for their child for selling their beauty product. And yet when you know what you're looking for, the woman looked disgusted and the child looked confused. So actually it was not demonstrating a mother's love for its child. It gave you a feeling of, there's something wrong in that picture. And yet that wasn't the brand that they were trying to articulate. It wasn't what they were trying to bring to life. And it can be massively impactful. I've got a picture from probably a couple of years ago now. And it was interesting when it first went out, people were like, oh, I really like that picture. You look really happy. And it's funny because I get people to now look a little bit closer at that picture. And I'm terrified. It was the day before I went to court. For the first time dealing with my stalker. I was about to go live on Facebook, having never done it before. I was in an open park, having been terrified that I was being followed. And if you look closely, you can see the fear, because the smile doesn't make it to your eyes. And there's the rest of the expressions go up. When you know what you're looking for, you go, that's it. The rest of the time when you look at it, you go, she looks kind of happy, but there's something not quite right. We don't know what that is, and the confused brain doesn't buy. So when we think something's not quite right, we start to question, and that's when people start to challenge whether or not we're being authentic.
Well, it's been very interesting. I know you've got to get to a meeting, so now I'm hopefully I'm not gonna make myself look like an idiot when you disappear. I don't know what it looks like when you disappear with the banner and stuff. What happens?
Well, I don't know. I think I'd have to.
Oh, you don't know, do you? You don't know.
Shall I say bye?
Yeah, bye. So yeah, I'm going to get rid of this banner somehow. Where is it? Get rid of this overlay, standard overlay. There we go. That'll do. Nice. All right. So yeah, when it comes down to my dream this morning, it was quite amazing actually. I literally so past few weeks we've been working on launching a number of different things, Kim and I. And this morning I remember I was riding around a roundabout on this really fast motorcycle, and I basically took the wrong turning, and I drove down this exit for the roundabout, and I ended up in a massive pile of hay, right? So then the farmer came out, and the farmer basically helped me to move my motorcycle from this pile of hay. And that was what I woke up to this morning. And I thought that was really quite weird, right? But actually, when I looked deeper into the message that was coming to me from that actual dream, it was all about hello Russell. Yeah, so it was this dream, it was all about staying focused on the job in hand, on the actual big picture strategy that Kim and I put together. We put a 5-year strategy together, and we've been getting yeah, well, you can watch back the video, no problem. I'm literally just talking about the dream that I had that was this morning. So like literally I woke up this morning and after this dream, and I was like, what was the message that I received from that dream, right? And the message that I received was, so I crashed a motorcycle on this roundabout because I took the wrong turn and I went into a bale of hay, right? And then the farmer helped me to move my bike and actually fix it. So then I was like, well, what actually is the message from this dream? And it was literally just to stay focused on what you're doing. You've got your plan, stick to the plan, work the plan, and don't get distracted, and just keep at it, right? And as long as you're moving forwards towards your plan, towards what you want to make happen, that's fine. So be kind to yourself and just keep at it, right? And that's basically the message that I got from this morning's dream, which was kind of unusual. And then I digested it a little while and I was like, so who was the farmer? Who was the farmer that helped me to extract my bike from the field? That's another one. I thought about that. And that is, I'm going to cover that in another broadcast, another day, because I need to get to a meeting in a couple of minutes. And I want to thank you for tuning in. And yeah, we will be back on Friday with our normal reflections of the week. And I'm hoping Kim will actually be there on Friday because she went to the hairdressers last week because they were open and she hadn't been for a while. And she was supporting the local economy. So I can't blame her for that. But wishing everyone a great afternoon. And thank you very much for tuning in. Bye-bye. Oh, bless you too, buddy.